Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This week I am reviewing, or rather sharing my thoughts on a book that I read in recent months, and that book is Sun Tzu's The Art of War. So if you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen when I've shared various parts of the book while I was reading it. It's still there on my Instagram page and in my book highlights reel on my page. Anyway, today I want to talk a bit about what I think of this book and what it is that I got from this book, right? So this book is believed to have been written by Sun Tzu. There are opposing ideas about who the author is or isn't, and those are that rather than this being the efforts of one single man, Sun Tzu, this is rather a compilation of Chinese generational teachings based on philosophy and also Chinese teachings about military strategy. Legend has it that Sun Tzu himself was a military general in an era where China was facing great turmoil over the country's territories. This book was written in the 5th century BC, and it's written primarily as a war treatise. And so it reads like a list. So if you're somebody that's looking for a rich narrative from a book, this is probably not the book for you, because at times it did really feel like I was reading a very cut and dry, numbered and bullet pointed list. So when walking towards this book at a bookstore or wherever you spot it, you might see The Art of War written in big bold letters and, make associations and assumptions related to violence. And then maybe once you'd heard and maybe read a couple of reviews and people sharing thoughts on this book, you would go on to form a new idea about how this book is rather maybe based on a psychological violence and the total destruction and obliteration of your enemies or people that you are in conflict with. What I found reading this book, though, is that it holds a very deep and profound message of the journey of seeking the ultimate peace. And the great irony of this book, and perhaps I'd even go as far as saying the core teaching of this book, is that in order to attain and achieve this ultimate peace, there is a lot of effort, planning, and strategy involved. Before even getting into any of the strategies, Sun Tzu talks about how violence is the very last resort for a high-level army. He often makes inference to a strong army or strong general being those that have enough foresight to exercise high-level strategy, in order to win or be victorious over a situation, and those that maneuver within this strategy in order to avoid conflict altogether sometimes when it's thought to be oncoming. This book at its core is about understanding psychology and understanding philosophy. What you get from this book is going to be largely based on your deductive skills and how good you are at applying theory. It's going to be a question of how good you are at identifying situations of conflict before they take shape, and then how good you are at converting this theory that has been given to you in the form of this book into everyday actions and practices. I say this to say that although this book is written as military strategy primarily, it can be scaled down to the happenings of everyday life. So whether you are a business manager, whether you are a soccer team coach, whether you lead a team, or even just as in your capacity as, the leader of your life. Oftentimes, conflict exists within ourselves too. And so this book also probes and explores knowledge of self and our own boundaries and our own inner conflicts. So I did share my reading list with a couple of people, and one of those people asked me when they saw that I had finished reading this book what I thought of it, and they were thinking of reading it too, and what can you tell me about it? And I think one of the things that I said was that I feel as though Master Sun and I are kindred spirits, if he did exist, we don't know. But I say that because I feel that largely the principles and strategies, laid out in this book are how I live my life and how I approach situations in my life. And it's not from a place of wanting to obliterate or win or any of those things that can be considered to be dominant, or wanting to exert power over. For me, it's just been a question of leading life intuitively as a whole. And that ties in with a number of other concepts and philosophies that I live my life by, which, branch out into spiritual practices and philosophical practices. And so I very much identify, or align with his methods and his strategies, because I think I've been applying quite a great number of them in my life without even realizing that they were strategies, because, like I said before, it's just the core of who I am. I'm a highly intuitive person, and so I can recognize an oncoming thing and see it over there and make a decision about how to approach it that makes sure that it stays over there and it doesn't make its way over here. So I really I don't want this to come off as arrogant, though, because I think that secretly that's what the person thought when I told them that. They were like, girl, you think you're on the same page as Master Sun? And that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that this book has underlying spiritual and philosophical bases that inform the strategy, and based on that, I feel as though this book for me was an affirmation and a check-in with universal law and universal strategy, and see, and also just for me to check in and see how I could better apply some of these strategies in my day-to-day life. But he is a master, or whoever, they are masters, and there's definitely a lot of strategies and a lot of things that I didn't already know and didn't already apply. So there were some new things that I kind of added to my vault. So this book for me, more than anything, an affirmation, a tool to refine, a refinement tool, a sharpening tool. This is the razor to my blade. I don't know if that makes sense, but I think you get the idea. And I don't think this book is going to be for everyone, just because of what I mentioned before. It does read a little bit listy, and if you don't have really good conversion theory to practical everyday life action conversion rate, this book is absolutely going to give you nothing. But yeah, I absolutely recommend it. This is a book that I suspect I will have to come back to every couple of years or so, and probably I'll spot new ideas and new ways of applying this theory. But for now, I'm grateful for this book and all the other books I've read recently. So I hope this kind of gave you a peek into the world of Sun Tzu, and I hope you got something from this, because ultimately that's why I want to do this. And yes, have a good one, and I'll see you in the next one.